damn pillow. You ain't suffocate me in my sleep tonight.
You see what they're doing, right?
I see it.
They wanted to see my resolve.
Why would you bring me here? I don't bang with this broad.
You know women don't play when it comes to their hair, right?
I'm about to go take a shit. I have beans this morning, girl.
TMI.
What is going on, beautiful people? It's your boy here, Wesley from Aconnectiontv here on YouTube and watch actv.com, the two places on the World Wide Web where we actually adopt similar connections despite our differences. And welcome to my channel where I am about to review the Eternals movie that is causing such a frenzy with the critics in the world, period. Alright, if this is your first time seeing me, follow me on all my social medias, which is linked down below. Twitter and Instagram at Aconnectiontv. And if you're into reviews and just want to see all the reviews solely, definitely go to Wes the Critic YouTube channel. Anyways, first and foremost, I'm an avid MCU goer, watcher, fan, fanatic. I love just about all of the MCU flicks, just about all of them. With regards to my superhero films, I don't like them to be joking comedies. I like them to be serious, serious films. I like there to be action, and I love to be on the side of the protagonist. I'm not one of those critics that needs a fleshed out story of the villain, and I need to know why he's killing people. I need to know why he wants to. I don't really need to care. I don't care about all that. I just want good feels, positivity, a little destruction, chaos, cool, but I always want the protagonist to win at the end. That's just how I am. That's just how I view things, and that's just how I want it to be. You know, you go to the movies, you don't want to see, well, typically when you go to the movies, you don't want to see real life depicted in films. Like, we all know people die. We all know that there's hatred. We all know that there's racism, all of that stuff. And I normally don't like to see that in my movies, but that's not to say that I don't ever want to see it, but I damn for sure don't want to see it in my comic book movies. Suffice it to say, I love just about every MCU film. So when I heard that the critics were giving this, at this point, now a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, I don't care about what they say. Because to me, these critics aren't people like me. People like the other YouTubers out here that go to the films. These critics are like people that care about the dollar, people that care about their name being in the lights, you know, the wannabe Siskel and Eberts of the industry. So Rotten Tomatoes, blah. I wish there were people like me on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't really see that many people like me on Rotten Tomatoes. But suffice it to say, I didn't really care about the now 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. What I do care about is if Kevin Feige is creating or continuing what he's been doing. And I love what he's been doing thus far, right? So I went into it with an open mindset. I've never seen anything from Chloe Zhao. I didn't watch Nomadland or whatever it's called. I didn't see that, and I know that's piss poor of me if I call myself a critic and I do film, to not see something that was critically acclaimed and won her a Best Oscar Director, for Oscar for Best Director. But suffice it to say, that's needless here. That's neither here nor there. I went into it with a fresh set of eyes, not knowing her previous work and not caring what anybody has said, but understanding what the MCU means to me. And so for that, I was ready, willing, and let's talk about it. The Eternals, a race of immortal beings with superhuman powers who have secretly lived on Earth for thousands of years, reunite to battle the evil Deviants. Okay, short, sweet, simple, to the point. It's an all-star studded cast, okay? We have Angelina Jolie in the MCU. What else could we want, all right? Let's get into the awesome. So, the awesome. What do I like about this film? Right away, it is the special effects. From the beginning to the end, I I loved seeing the artwork. I loved seeing the powers. I loved seeing the flight, especially the flight, right? I feel like MCU has accomplished the flight quite well, right? I feel like when I watch flight in the DC movies, it feels like I'm watching them on wire work. When I watch flight in the MCU, it feels natural. It feels like these guys or girls, Carol Danvers, are able to just do it. Thor, they're just able to like soar, and it looks magical. It looks amazing. I love the eye beams from Icarus. I love the weapons that Athena used. Angelina Jolie is a master at utilizing or knowing how to act and convey the fact that she has powers and she can do all this stuff. Simply amazing. The special effects were great. The water effects with you know, Emma Chan's powers turning things and animate objects into dust and all that was fantastic. Special effects are awesome. The second awesome is the action when it happens. I wasn't really too keen in the first action scene because it's in the trailers literally. So I was just like, I mean, you can miss me with all this. I saw it. And it just seemed so rehearsed and like, pow, boom, fast run here. Let's showcase our powers. That whole first fighting scene was corny to me. It just was real. It was real like, la la la, la la la, I have powers. Woo! But the other fighting scenes, I was like, okay, now we fighting. Now we in the MCU and I'm here and I'm loving it. Okay, Chloe Zhao, let's do something here. Because I've always heard that the MCU films have like this dedicated action team that does all their stuff, but clearly something's off in every film because you get the gist that there may be an action team, but then you're reminded that a different director directed this and you're like, oh, so they had all the power. Because I really feel like the Russo brothers can film every freaking MCU film and they would always constantly get it. You know, but then we get to, you know, Captain America and we get that action. And then we get to Eternals and then we get this action. And it's just like, okay. But there were moments when the action happened, I was actually thoroughly enjoying it. So I was like, okay, cool. Another awesome is Makari. I love Makari. Favorites. Kingo, favorite. Athena, favorite. Phastos, favorite. I mean, damn near the entire cast, amazing. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with Emma Chan. I mean, she was very like Disney princess-esque, which was like barf, but she played it well enough for me to want to barf. I was like, why is she so Disney? But I was like, okay, this is Disney. But it was just too cookie cutter for me, right? And then I didn't really want to see this little girl fawning over this grown ass man and Icarus and Sprite, like that whole concept, even though she's 5,000 years old, she looks 12. So I was like, why are we giving her this kind of light in life in this? Like we could have rearranged, as many times as, you know, these superhero movies rearranged the original characters, we could have rearranged her. And yeah, but the whole love triangle thing, and I was like, ew, that was nasty. I didn't really want to see that. But overall, like everybody played the role that they were given to play. And I loved the cast. I really did. My favorites being Makari, Phastos, Kingo, and Athena. Those are like my all-time faves. Next awesome was the light comedy. I like that there existed a character like Kingo to bring in the comedy. And then his assistant, Harish Patel, his assistant was like that. Kingo and his assistant saved the movie in the sense of light comedy for me. It brought a sense of like realness and authenticity to the film because it didn't feel forced and it was just great. And Harish Patel, like his character, I was here for him all day long. I didn't want him to die. I was just like, oh, his character is great. Like he saved a large portion of the film for me. He really did. Because you watch the movie and you feel like you're watching gods have a conversation. So where am I in this equation? Oh, I'm in Harish Patel. I would do and say a lot of the things that Harish Patel was saying and doing, and okay, cool, that's my connection. Because other than that, what am I to connect with in this? I'm dealing with android-like god alien type beings that are discussing whether or not they want to save me. So I was like, I don't feel the connection, but Harish Patel gave me that for as little as he was in the movie. And then the last awesome is that this film is breathtaking, right? I'm assuming that this is what Chloe Zhao is known for. Everybody is like, oh my God, Nomadland, the sunsets. They used the real sun. I was like, okay, like, is that difficult to do at that level when you get $200 million to film something? You can't film the sun when the sun sets and rises? You can't film actual sand on an actual beach with the actual water? Like, what are we talking about here? Is everything really done in front of a green screen nowadays? Probably it is. But they're ranting and raving about this chick that just films real stuff. I mean, that's where directors in film starts, with real stuff. But it was a beautiful movie. But that's kind of like the awesome and the terrible. Let's get into the terrible. Terrible number one. I felt like, what was the point of watching this? What was the point of this movie? Like, it was like an hour, probably like 5 hours into the film, and I was like, what is the point of this movie? Is this just to introduce Kit Harington? Dane Whitman? What is the point of watching this film? There's no point. I felt like there was no point watching this movie. And so therefore, it was like, why am I sitting here for damn near 7 hours to watch Emma Chan figure out what to do? Right? That was the movie. That was the entire movie of Internals. Like, you watched that whole thing to try to figure out if Emma Chan, you watched Emma Chan try to figure out what her purpose was and what she was going to do. It's like what? What? And then you see these like godly like beings fighting over whether or not they're gonna save us. So it's like, what was the point? I felt like one of the regulars that we know of somehow, some way should have made an appearance, should have been there. I don't know. I feel like something that we could hold on to that's tangible should have been in the movie to make me feel like, okay, there's the point to this. Terrible number two. More than half of the movie was spent looking at beautiful deserts, beautiful rocks, beautiful skies. Let me change that. Real beautiful. Real and beautiful. And I was like, wow, like, is that all that this is about? Like, okay, she's flexing her artistic ability to film real authentic beaches. And I was like, okay, we get the point. We get the point. You can film a real beach. Like, we get the point here. Like, show me something else. I was like, why am I watching this for 5 hours? Why am I watching the sunset for 5 hours? Why is there a shot for half an hour of two hands about to touch? What is this? I was like, oh, Chloe Zhao, I get it. You can film real hands. What? It was just, I just couldn't understand. And then the flashbacks going back and forth, like I felt like I would rather have spent more time in either or to get it than to spend time equally in both. Because I felt like her doing that, I didn't get enough time in any one era. If that makes sense. Like we would see something in the present and then they would explain it with the flashback in the past, but I felt like that explanation wasn't enough for me to be where we are now. It was just like, okay, cool. But like, for example, like when the bomb went off in Hiroshima and we find out that Fastos feels like he's the reason behind it, but didn't he, like, I feel like it was explained earlier that he didn't advance us. He stayed primitive to his offerings of technology, but he's crying and weeping like he built the bomb. And it wasn't explained for me to understand that why he was on his knees crying and stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And then it was like, okay, these robot beings are made to not feel, But because they went out in the world and lived with these humans, I guess they did start to feel. And so now they're just humans with powers, and now they care. But I wasn't around them more in the present to really get why they care. I don't know. It was just like we cut to a scene, and then Druig is like, I'm killing you all, or I'm going to control these people. And so he walks off and controls a selection of people, and it's like, who wants to be controlled? Like, who wants to live like that? I don't know. It was just all over the place, and I was aggravated by it. So that was terrible. I think I have quite a few terribles here. Third terrible was, I felt like the MCU is playing like God in my face. To find out that the MCU is responsible for everything that we know about in history, that was like, what? I didn't need that. I didn't need that. When Emma Chan walked past Darwin's statue and was like, hey Charles, or hey Charlie, I was like, huh? And then the whole Hiroshima bomb thing, I was like, what? Then the concept of trains, I was like, what? What? What's going on here? Like, this is too much. So the MCU created all of us, and the MCU is saying that the DCEU is fake. What? Because you're not gonna have Superman alive in the MCU. It's just impossible. Like, what are we talking about here? Because if that was the case, we would have heard about him by now. And so the MCU is the creation of all creation. I thought that was a bit too much to believe in. And yeah, no, I wasn't vibing with that. And I would understand if a lot of critics weren't vibing with that too, because now not only are you saying you're top dog in film, but you're saying you're top dog in life because you've created everything, MCU. Wasn't really vibing with all that. And I can imagine, like, I could imagine people having a problem with that. To say that, you know, these celestial beings are the reason why all of these universes exist, including us. And there's this being that's sitting there, has been sitting there all this time, and has the ability to just wipe us out. Like, then what? Like, what's the point? Like, again, what's the point? Terrible number 4. The love arcs were not fully fleshed out, and it felt like I was watching people kiss just to kiss. What's this man's name? Richard Madden, Icarus, didn't believe him. Didn't believe him, didn't believe his character, didn't believe that he loved Emma Chan, didn't believe that Emma Chan loved him. I did not believe that whatsoever. And there was not enough there for me to care. I felt like I was watching them roll around on these heavy ass realistic rocks, wherever she's filming it. And I was like, what? Like, what? Why am I watching this sex scene? Like, this is ridiculous. It felt forced, and I was like, why am I watching this? This is dumb. And I felt the same way about Fastos and his man. Because Disney has never given us anybody in the LGBTQ community, at least outright, at least with some screen time, at least with some importance, and until Fastos. Okay, cool, we get Fastos, and he's not the typical gay, which is great. I didn't want to see him in makeup and wearing lipstick. That was amazing. He had a child, amazing. Beautiful masculine man, amazing. But I didn't need to see the kiss. The kiss was, where did it come from? Like, a kiss is not saying, husband, go save the world, I will miss you and be here when you're here. No. Embrace is, a hug is, a tear or two is, but not a kiss that, by the way, from both actors, seemed like they didn't even really want to do. So why are you putting that on my screen? You're forcing it down my throat. I didn't need to see that unnatural kiss from two men that clearly aren't gay. And if they are, I don't know why they gave me that kind of kiss. It was abysmal to watch. I was like, why am I watching this? It feels forced. Terrible. Should have took it out the movie. I should have took it out. I would rather not have seen that horrible fake display of love than to see it forced down my throat just because they're two gay characters in a film. No. Terrible number 5. It felt like the intentions behind this film were to nurture, love, and showcase caring and feelings, emotions of a sensitive type times a million. And I felt like this was only given to us because of Chloe Zhao. And I just didn't know why. I felt like I was watching a fairy tale love story amongst Power Rangers. That is exactly what this movie is. It is a fairy tale love story, kind of, about fantasy fairy tale love story about the Power Rangers. Now, I love the awesome, but the terrible got on my nerves. And I can understand why this movie was scored low. If you're a regular MCU, viewer, watcher, you may just walk away from this and say, that was a cool film. Will it be in your top 10 of MCU films? I would be surprised if it is. I would be surprised if it is. This movie is not in my top 10 of movies in 2021, but Shang-Chi is. Shang-Chi is in my top 10 movies for 2021. Black Widow is not, and neither is Eternals. But Black Widow, to me, is a better movie than Eternals. And they offer different things. And I like Black Widow for different reasons, and I like Eternals for different reasons. But I felt like the terrible was just really, really heavy in this movie. You have tremendous cast. You have a tremendous ability to produce something so amazing here, Chloe Zhao. And I felt like this was too on the nose with the God celestial maker of life bit, and then the love and the caring and all that. It was just too heavy on that. When we had all this good stuff that we could work with. Makari. We only see her for like 5 minutes in the film. Angelina Jolie had a nice little bit. Fastos. Let's understand how we got to that ugly ass kiss. Let's understand that. Sprite, she should have been a teenager. She should have been like 19 or something. Having her look 13 running around talking about she's in love with a grown-ass man, I was just like, I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear none of that. Like, no. But it is what it is. This movie, from me to you, gets a 6.5 out of 10. It barely makes it to my worth it. And it's that worth it if you want to go see it cool kind of a worth it. But it's not going to get a gnaw from me. It's going to get a 6.5. Movies that get a 6 and under are a gnaw. Don't waste your time in the movie theaters. But movies that get a 6.5 and above are worth it. It's just, this is worth it on a slant. And if you do go see this movie, go see it in IMAX. The best movie theater that's possible that you can see it, because that's how you're going to want to see it. I don't know about you guys, but leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought about Eternals. And, did you really care about Kit Harington, Dane Whitman's character at the end? Nope, I didn't really care about him because we didn't really know anything about him. We don't see him. We see him act like he's gonna be some kind of hero and he's falling for Emma Chan, who doesn't seem like she really cares about him anyway. I mean, a lot of these characters are very lifeless in this. Like, they're very like lifeless. So how are they kissing? How are they in love? Anyways, I didn't really care for the post-credit scenes, and a lot of people were saying that, Mahershala Ali's voice was playing Blade in the post-credit scenes. There are 2 post-credit scenes. Go watch, stick through it if you want to watch the post-credit scenes. But I left this movie not caring about it. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Icarus flying into the sun, that's dumb. Like, are you really? That's too on the nose. Thena being not Athena, but Thena, that's too on the nose. Why? Why? That's too much, MCU, that's too much. That's too much. You're basically saying she's Wonder Woman. I mean, I would love to see Wonder Woman go against Thena, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. You already know that, Angelina Jolie and Homegirl don't really care for each other. But it's kind of like The Rock and Dwayne Johnson. The Rock is Dwayne Johnson. The Rock and, what's the man's name? Oh, freak. The Fast and the Furious guy. You know who I'm talking about. Denzel. Not Denzel. Diesel. Vin Diesel. That one. Yes, him. It's like, that's the same thing. But I would love to see Thena go after Wonder Woman, but I think Wonder Woman will beat Thena's. I don't know. Because she can't, Thena can't fly. And Wonder Woman can. And I don't know. I think that would be a battle. That would be a battle. And I would just give it to Angelina Jolie because she's Angelina Jolie. And you know, I feel like Angelina Jolie played this role just because of that. I really do. But anyways, love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully y'all watch this video. Hopefully you give this video a like so this video can be seen, not just by 5 people. That would be amazing. Thank you. And if you're into nothing but reviews, go to my review channel, Wes the Critic. But definitely leave your review. What would you give this movie out of a point system of 10? I give it a 6.5. Are you lower or higher? Deuces. I know. Y'all not about to think about not subscribing to aconnectiontv.com. Copyrighted.